at the end of the day, there's going to be times when Christians don't agree, but you still want things to go well for them, right? I mean, when Paul and Barnabas disagree on John Mark, it would have been wrong for Paul to be like, well, I hope their missionary journey fails, and then Barnabas comes back on his knees and is like, Paul, I'm so sorry, you were right about John Mark. He abandoned me again. You know what Paul should have been like? I totally disagree, but I hope it goes great for you guys. I hope you get everyone saved. I hope the Lord blesses your ministry. Even though I don't want to do it, even though I'm not going to do it, even though I have good reason not to have fellowship with you or separate from you, I still hope a great work is accomplished by you. And you know what? Even if there's a pastor or a church at some point in time that we have to say, you know what? You have a lot of issues. You've done a lot of harm. You need to get that right. And I can't be around you right now. You know what I still hope? I still hope they get as many people saved as possible. I still hope God gives them mercy and grace. I want to give you a really specific example, and I haven't brought this up publicly because there's no need to, but, Pastor Boyle of Revival Baptist Church took our church plant in Jacksonville, okay? And Pastor Boyle has taught some things that I strongly disagree with. You know what? That's why we're independent fundamental Baptist churches, okay? Let's talk about some things that are going on in Jacksonville. Number one, we all know they're King James only. I mean, if there's one doctrine we're certain about, is that they're going to have a King James Bible in their hand when they come through the door, right? Is that really a bad thing? Maybe they don't have good arguments for why they use it, but at the end of the day, we know they're using it. Hey, they still believe salvation is by faith, right? To the best of my knowledge. They're still going soul winning. Look, that already met all of my criterion for fellowship anyways. Didn't it? Now again, do I have other issues with them? Sure. I don't need to bring that up publicly. It doesn't matter. You know what? I hope God blesses that church. And when people contact me and they say, hey, I live in Jacksonville. Do you know a church I should go to? I say go to Revival Baptist Church in Jacksonville. Are you his friend? It doesn't matter if I'm his friend or not. At the end of the day, we should, just because someone's not my friend, or even if they did potentially do harm or evil to me in the past, who cares? Why don't you just bless them? Why don't you hope good for them? Why don't you hope good for the people in that church? Why don't you hope that God gets a lot of people saved through sinners' hands? Because guess what? We're not the only righteous people in the world. Because there's none righteous, no, not one. Did you forget? I'm sure we have problems too. We really have to ask God, hey God, only bless us if we're perfect. That sounds dangerous. Don't we want to say like, you know what? I hope that God blesses and uses our church even when we have a lot of problems. We shouldn't look at people that aren't exactly like us and be like, well, God can't bless you unless you're exactly like me. And you have everything locked in. What is the exact number of days after the abomination of desolation that the people are going to be raptured? If you have that wrong, you're not saved. It's like, what? It's like, what are people talking about? It's like, don't get this overly enthusiastic zeal for the truth that you start hating good people. That you start hating your brother and sister in Christ.